5 Banshee mods, okay? I'm going to start at the bottom of the list, and I'll start with number 5. What I think are the best 5 modifications you can do to a Yamaha Banshee to gain better drivability and some better performance and get the most bang for your buck out of this 2-stroke and bring out the beast inside of it. So I'll start with number 5, which I believe is the clutch mod. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a clip describing exactly what this is and how it works on the engine. I have a bottom end I'm putting together right now, and what I'd like to do is throw the basket on real quick and show what the issue is and what this fixes. This is a pretty simple fix. It's roughly $20 to $50 off of eBay, and it's basically just a small shoulder with a pancake bearing and some washers, but it fixes a lot of issues that are common in the Yamaha Banshee clutch basket assembly. Okay guys, so here's the bottom end from the Banshee that I'm going to be putting together here in a few short weeks. Now, poor planning on my part, but I could not find the rod that goes in the center of this clutch basket. So I grabbed the parts that I could to simply show exactly how this pancake bearing works effectively. So what happens is on the Banshee is you have an armature on the top part of this case. This is what engages and disengages the clutch with a cable that attaches directly through here. What happens is when this arm gets pulled in by the lever in the cable, it actuates a rod through the center of this basket with a tiny ball on the end of it. What happens is a lot of people like to ride the clutch a lot, and so when you do this, the ball actually welds itself to the end of the rod, especially for long periods of time. That can also make it hard to shift. So that and the Shift Star mod are 2 supporting mods to help both going into neutral and shifting regularly. So what happens is, here's the end of my basket. Now this one already has the mod on it, as you can see here, but I bought a brand new one for my fresh build because I don't want to use any used parts on it. So you would stick the rod in here, stick the ball in, and you'll stick this on, you would stick this on the end normally. Now this one in particular, actually this is a stock one, sorry. This is stock. As you can see, there's no bearing or washers on the inside. So that ball would only be in contact with this and the rod. That would be sort of like bushing that would take, take all the blunt force. So this would be spinning, you would push on your rod, it would lift this up. It would just lift this up off the clutch plates and relieve the pressure, and then that's why they get seized real easily, because they don't see that much fluid from the bottom of the transmission, because it's tucked inside of that valley. So, using this pancake bearing, what they do, and it still has the adjustment on it, as you can see, so you don't have to adjust it all on the cable. You can get it tight before you even do anything with the cable. You would stick this in. I'd have to take this one off, and then I would stick that on the end of it. That nut still goes through the end of here, tightens down. That pancake bearing, if you look here, you'll see there's a little tiny pancake bearing in there. It's covered by the washers. There you can see the small rollers on that. And what that does is make contact in between instead of the ball bearing that goes in there. Then you have number 4. Number 4 is the Shift Star mod. The Banshee has been known to have problems when putting it in neutral. Sometimes it's really hard to put in neutral. It's very hard to shift. So I'm also going to show a short clip of what you can do to the Shift Star on the side of your shift drum, which is very simple. All you do is remove the side cover off of the bottom end where the clutch is after draining the transmission fluid, and then you can remove a few simple components and shave down some of the edges on the Shift Star, and that way it's a lot easier to shift into neutral. Now, looking ahead, what I grabbed here was my shift shaft. So what I'll show you is here, okay? Inside the bottom end here, you have a shift drum connected to this star. Okay, and you have a little assembly of levers and springs, and you have your actual shifting mechanism. What happens is on the end of this, you get the shifter on the other side of the engine. This is the clutch side of the motor. So once I get the fluids drained, I get the clutch cover off, I'd have to take the shifter off and I'd have to pop this out. Now what you're going to want to do is, these screws are very hard to remove, so use a little bit of heat and some WD-40, and sometimes you need a punch screwdriver, which will help break that free. Once you get this off, you take this star off. Once you get the star off, as you can see, there's a little groove on this one right here, cut out for this. That takes all the load off of all the gears and everything. So that's your neutral point. Now what you're going to want to do is, because these were machined from the factory and they're sloppy, these two little points right here and right here can actually get rounded off a little better. And that way, when you're shifting and you shift that into neutral, it's a lot easier to lock into place because it's not so hard of a bump on the ends. That's kind of hard with your fingers. Anyways, you get the point. You round that off and you stick this back in, stick everything on, put your fluids in, and that's how you do the shift star mod. Number 3 is the timing plate mod. What I have here in my hands is what we refer to as the stock timing plate. As you can see on this timing plate, there's no slots in the holes, so these locations cannot move when they're on the bottom end of the stator. What you can do is you can buy an aftermarket piece similar to this. As you can see, the holes are slotted. Now, typically, and this one's worn off. This is bad. This is a bad timing plate, but it's just an example to show what happens is the stator bolts to the back of the plate and then you're able to adjust your timing. Now, typically what I like to do is, when I have a completely stock Banshee and I stick one of these timing plates on with the other supporting mods in this video, what I do is just put it right to +4. And I'll show most of these plates are marked so that you can just advance your timing 4 degrees, and that usually does it. It's usually a quick and easy beginning place to put your timing that's pretty safe. And that much ignition advance usually is, you know, an easy power gain for these quads, and it's something that's you're not going to roast a piston over. You know, when you get into the bigger bore, bigger stroke quads, it's a lot easier to mess things up when you're going 10, 12 degrees or so. Which I believe this plate goes to 12 degrees. I could stand corrected, but I'm pretty sure this one goes up to 12 degrees. The slots are really big. You can adjust the timing really far forward if you want to. Like say you want to run race gas or like 110 octane or something like that, then you could really adjust this forward for a big race motor. But for a stock Banshee, with just some minor modifications to it, stick with +4 and you'll be good. So again, on this bottom end, I have no crank or anything in it. It's just an empty bottom end pretty much. I grabbed the stator with the adjustable timing plate on it, and I just wanted to show how to line up your timing marks on these plates. This one is worn down, but normally these plates, this one's broke, don't forget, but they have the slotted holes here, here, and here. And what happens is on the side here, you'll see a little plate with timing marks on it. It is similar to a lot of other, say, cars and stuff like that have a timing plate to check timing on it. But this one's simple. This one gives you your degrees right on it. This one is a 12-degree plate. Even though it only shows 11, it goes up to 12. And you'll see a plus and a minus. And that is exactly what it is. It is negative or retard ignition advance, and then you have the positive, which is your advanced ignition timing. Like I said, you're going to want to go +4. Line it up with the case there, and you're going to shift that forward once you get your bolts loose and everything. And you'll just twist that forward to your 4 mark. This one's all messed up because it's broken. The pickup coil's hanging off, but you get the idea. You'll just turn that to your 4, your 4th degree in the center of the case there, and that'll set you for your +4 timing. Then you have number 2. Number 2, what I like to do as a second modification would be the COOLHEAD. What's really cool about the COOLHEAD is they have interchangeable domes. So what you can do is, you can quickly take the head off after you drain the coolant out, obviously. You can take this head off really easily and change out the domes on this. Now what that does for you is you can actually change the compression ratio of the head on these, or the squish as some people like to call it. Typically, I believe it's 21 cc and up is for pump gas, and anything under that, sometimes you have to run race fuel, or all the time you have to run race fuel. But typically, 21 cc and up, you're good. So I chose 21 cc for the race motor that I'm building on this, even though I'm going to run pump gas and trail ride it. But that would be my number 2 modification. And they're relatively cheap. You can get them on eBay for roughly $150 to $200. Some used ones you can get for $100, $150, and then typically the new ones anywhere from $200 to $300. And they come polished, and usually they come with the O-ring kit too. The number 1 modification that I would do to a Yamaha Banshee would be pipes and silencers. Now, what I have in front of me here is the old FMF pipes off of this stock motor Banshee that I had. And let me tell you, these are what really wake up a stock Yamaha Banshee. Now, it's not as simple as just buying a set of pipes and putting them on the ATV and thinking that everything's going to be all hunky-dory, because it's not. So you get a set of pipes and silencers off Craigslist or whatever for $100, $150 bucks, which that's what I did. Yeah, they look crappy, but they add a ton of performance to a 2-stroke by opening up the expansion chamber and letting the gas and air flow out of it more freely. Now, what you have to do to support the pipe and silencer mod is you have to rejet the carburetors. That can be a little tricky on the Banshee sometimes, but let me tell you, it is worth it. Typically when I rejet them, I'll do a plug chop and I'll check, make sure it's all chocolate brown. You have to do it a certain way, where you're running the quad at a certain throttle range and shut it off without letting off the gas, and then pull the plug out exactly as it sat and do a chop on it and check the color. There's plug range charts all over Google and all over YouTube telling you how to read plugs, so I'm not going to get too in depth with that, but let me just say, for my elevation, which is roughly 1500 above sea level, which that's how normally you determine your air density, what you would do is, I put a 260 main in it, and I bumped up the pilot, I think one size. I think stock was 25, I went to a 27.5, I believe. It's been a few years, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And then I went to the 260 main, added the pipes and silencers, and I'm telling you, this thing, you get loads of power out of a set of pipes and silencers. That is why number 1 is pipes and silencers on a Banshee. If you guys have any questions, or you like the content that I'm putting out there, give me a comment, a like, and subscribe.